Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Joy News today. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. The bulletin is live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra. We're also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Headlines this hour: chaotic scenes in some public hospitals in Accra and Kumasi as nurses' strike enters its critical phase, with healthcare services grinding to a halt and doctors pitching in wherever possible. Ministry of Health to meet striking nurses to find ways of ending the action. And also, New Patriotic Party sympathizer who assaulted Joy News' Latif Idrisi denied bail and set to reappear in court on 18th June after pleading not guilty to assault and threat of death. We'll bring you our latest series, After the Floods, where we check progress made 2 years after raging waters from Akosombo and Pong dams swallowed homes and scattered lives across North in the Volta region.
Up 20 rooms, which is 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, no toilet, no bath, small 6x6 posh.
We've got these plus business, sports and showbiz in this package. Join us, independent, fearless and credible. Just stay for details. We appreciate the company this afternoon. We'll start with the news with the nurses' strike. Now, the Ministry of Health will later today meet striking nurses to find a solution to the impasse. There are chaotic scenes in some public health facilities across the country this afternoon as a nationwide nurses' strike enters a critical phase with a total withdrawal of services. The absence of nurses has left patients stranded and some hospitals overcrowded. Doctors are stepping in to help, but the pressure is mounting, leading to long queues, overwhelmed facilities and growing frustrations. The nurses have refused to end the strike despite a court injunction secured by the National Labour Commission last week. They are demanding the implementation of their collective bargaining agreement, which the government insists cannot proceed until a review is completed. Joining us, Collins Frimpong has been speaking with some of the patients at hospitals in Accra. We'll bring you updates from most of the hospital right here in Accra and as well in the Ashanti region. Collins is on standby from Accra here, and Clinton Yeboah as well on standby from Kumasi to bring us what's really happening as we've been reporting the chaotic scenes in some hospitals. We also know that the Labour Commission had successfully secured an injunction on the strike action. Despite all of that, the strike is ongoing and hitting quite hard. We also know that a little later, the ministry will be meeting with the striking nurses to find a solution to the impasse. The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Samuel Kaba, is appealing to nurses to resume work.
Also take the opportunity to call on our sisters and brother nurses to come back to work. Just like yesterday, I said to one nurse, that if you come to the hospital now, you as a nurse, and you are pregnant, you are going to deliver, because she was a pregnant nurse. What are you going to say? Will you say, I won't deliver today because we are on strike? You'll be shouting, let's all do this. Let's go back to the negotiation table. If it's your auntie, your mother who is sick, what are you going to do? Will you say, I won't take her to the hospital because we are on strike? And when you go to the hospital, who do you expect to take care of your mom or you yourself? So I humbly add my voice to the Honorable Minister that please come back to work and let's continue negotiating.
We can now hear from the Health Ministry's PR, Tony Goodman, who says there is a meeting later today to bring finality to the matter. He spoke to Mamiesi Nyamisha Thompson on News Desk earlier.
We've agreed to meet with the various stakeholders. The meeting the minister has been calling for all this while. Thankfully, the leadership of the nurses have accepted to attend the meeting this morning at 7. At that meeting, we'll have the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, have the Ministry of Finance, we have various agencies, chief executive officers of the teaching hospitals, CHAG General, and then Ghana Health Service Director General will be at the meeting for us to discuss the roadmap towards the implementation of the collective agreement.
Well, the General Secretary for the striking nurses as well has also been speaking on News Desk. Let's bring you that.
Anyway, I'm being told that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has written a letter to us. We had an emergency council meeting yesterday. The decision is to appear. Obviously, it's the same tactic that has been deployed by the employer over the years. This young man may not know. I mean, there is a blueprint as far as the employer is concerned. They will renege on their responsibility if we assert our legitimate rights by employing certain actions such as this. They will just run to the Labour Commission. The Labour Commission will go to the court to seek injunction, injunct the process, and then everybody goes back to sleep. And that is why nurses and midwives are impoverished up to today. We think that this generation of nurses and midwives, or leaders of this generation, must change the narrative. They understand. So we are prepared to sacrifice anything to get something better for nurses and midwives in Ghana. We will attend the meeting as they have called, and obviously it's only one thing. They are just looking for an opportunity to serve as the injunction. All right. I don't think anything better will come out of that meeting.
News Desk. Now let's take you to Kolebu, where Collins Frimpong is on standby to bring us how the situation is like over there. Collins, paint a picture. How generally is the place?
Hello, MFA. Can you come again? Sorry.
Well, I can hear you. And please bring us an update from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Right. So, MFA, as you stated earlier on, you've been to 3 different facilities across the region this morning. And currently, we are at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, the biggest health facility in the country. When we got here, we tried to get more information from the management. And even though they will not speak to us, the information that they gave us was that they put in some internal measures to mitigate the strike. We went to some of the wards, including the emergency ward. And the information we picked on the ground was that earlier on in the morning, there was an issue between some of the senior nurses and also the junior nurses. And the issue was that the senior nurses were trying to provide health care or trying to provide treatment to the patients that were already on admission. But the junior nurses won't allow them. So as a result, that brought the misunderstanding between them. But management stepped in and they were able to resolve the issue. So,
Collins, I hope I didn't lose you. Hi, Collins.
Come to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The information that we have is that after our engagement with security officials and also some of the patients on ground is that they are not admitting any new patients. Nurses, there are no nurses, there are no midwives working, and also those that are already on admission, just about about 5 nurses at the emergency units that are trying to provide healthcare treatment for them, but they are not admitting anyone at the moment. And also we've seen police officials on campus, and I could count about 10 police officers with about 2 pickups that were here this morning at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital environment. And when we tried to engage them, the information that they provided me was that they also are here to assess the impact of the strike. They have heard that the nurses are on strike, and they wanted to know what was really happening. And earlier on, when we came, what we were informed was that the police were brought in by management to ensure that the chaos or the misunderstanding that happened between the junior nurses and the senior nurses were resolved. But the police also denied that nothing of that, so they didn't come here because of that. As a matter of fact, that was the first time that they were hearing that particular information. So when you come to Kolebu Teaching Hospital here, patients are being returned, and they will have to find different alternatives here at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Collins, were you able to find out or figure out whether these senior nurses belong to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association or they belong to another mother body? Well, we'll try and reconnect with Collins because, as you may have heard, it's giving us updates as to the altercation between the junior nurses and the senior nurses, when the senior nurses tried to step in to at least provide some services for patients who are already on admission at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. A little later, we shall also take you to Kumasi as well to find out the situation in Kumasi. Do I have Clinton? Clinton, give me an update if you're in the hospital. I'll take you back to Collins before I bring you back to Clinton. But Collins, give me an update.
So, MFA, we've been here since morning. We've been here about 2 hours now, and the information that we've picked on the ground is that earlier on there was an issue that happened at the emergency ward where some of the nurses, the senior nurses, were trying to provide treatment to the patient that were already on admission, but the junior nurses won't allow that to happen. So that brought misunderstanding between the senior nurses and the junior nurses, but authorities intervened and they resolved the issue. So what we've been informed is that currently there are few nurses inside there, senior nurses inside there, that are trying to provide treatment to people that are already on admission. But what we know for a fact is that the facility is not admitting any new patients here. And also when we got here, the information that we picked from the security guards was that, or some of the people on the ground, was that the misunderstanding prompted police officers to come on the ground. But our engagement with the security officials, I mean the Ghana Police Service, I could count about 10 police officials on the ground with 2 pickups here. I tried to engage them why they were here, and the information that they told me was that it had nothing to do with what we were earlier informed, that they were here to resolve the issue, but they are also here to assess the impact of the strike. So that's why they've been here. They don't know anything that happened. That was the first time that they are hearing, but they are on the Kolebu premises because of the strike. So that was the situation. But we've tried to also engage management, the public relations department, on some of the measures that they are putting in place to mitigate the strike action and the impact of the strike action. But the management won't tell us anything about it. But the only thing that we know from the PRO, they claim that they've put in some measures in place to address the issue. But from our own observation, nothing is really happening. We've been to some OPDs and nothing is happening. Some of them have been closed at the emergency units. There is no patient there. They are not admitting anyone. We've seen patients that are stranded here at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Let's go to Kumasi, where my colleague Clinton is on standby. Clinton, what's the situation in Kumasi? Kindly unmute Clinton if you can hear me.
MFA, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
MFA, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, Clinton. Please proceed.
Well, here in Kumasi, yes, the impact of the strike is really. Hello, MFA, can you hear me?
We'll try and reconnect again with Clinton and see if he can bring us update from Kumasi. But let's go to Rafiq Salam in the Upper West region. Rafiq, what's the situation? Oh boy, I hope that the network favors us this afternoon. But Rafiq, if you can hear me, kindly unmute.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, thank you, Rafiq. Please proceed.
Okay. I'm saying that the situation in the Upper West region here is not completely different from what we are hearing from the other part of the country. I visited the two, what do you call it, higher facility in the one municipality, talking about the one municipal hospital and the Upper West Regional Hospital. As I'm speaking to you now, I am currently at the Upper West Regional Hospital, where I can tell you that this facility has been inundated with several patients. I visited the emergency ward not long ago. The nurses and then also the doctors there were overwhelmed about the number of, let's say, the sea of patients that are right at their facility. But I can tell you that things are going on well at that particular facility. I have seen that I have spoken to management members of the hospital that they are telling me that because of the strike that nurses and then also the midwives have embarked on here, they have put in some measures at least to try to reduce the impact of the strike right at this facility. Some of these measures that they have taken has to deal with the doctors that they have at their disposal. Some of them have been recalled to come back to work, and also they're also using trainee nurses from the various nursing institutions in the region who are really here to help them. So last we speak now here, yes, the strike is ongoing here now, but its impact at least somehow has reduced here.
Thank you so much, Rafiq. Now, away from that, we'll still be bringing you updates since the umpires is quite developing as well. But an Accra Circuit Court has denied a sympathizer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Theophilus Thompson, who assaulted journalist journalist Lateef Idrisu bail. He is to reappear in court on June 18th after pleading not guilty to assault and threats of death. 55-year-old Theophilus Thompson was captured on video along with other suspects who are currently on the run assaulting Lateef Idrisu during his live coverage of the detention of the party's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard and Chiboisiako, also known as Chairman Wuntumi, in Yoko custody. Kenneth Jesse sat through the court proceedings and joins us with updates. Kenneth, what more can you tell us?
Well, so currently we're at the Accra Circuit Court. Court proceedings have ended after several minutes of deliberation between the state attorney and also counsel for the accused. The judge refused bail to Theophilus Thompson, who is 55 years old. He's been remanded into custody and set to reappear on the 18th of June 2025. Now, the new development that we're currently picking from my colleague Lateef is that he's received a call from the investigators. They've told him that they have invited new suspects to the police station, and he's been invited to come and see if he can identify that if indeed these people were part of those that assaulted him. So that's the new development that is coming up. New suspects have been invited by the police to assist with investigation. Well, during the court proceedings, the counsel for the accused pleaded with the presiding judge to grant his client bail on the basis that he is not guilty, he is not a flight risk, and also he has a permanent place of abode. He did indicate that denying him bail seems to be a sort of punishment for his client, and the state prosecutor did indicate that no, he should not be granted bail because he could tamper with investigations that are currently ongoing. He also did indicate that Thompson should not be granted bail because he also, there are some victims at large who, some suspects at large who I have indicated have been invited by the police to assist with investigation. So that's what happened here. And of course, we had some big wigs of the New Patriotic Party coming here to support we had the national organizer, Nanabi, cabin here. We also had the deputy general secretary of the party, Salam Mustafa, also make it way here. None of them spoke to the media, though, but that's what happened here. And of course, Lateef Idris also had his family, 2 members from his family, also come here to throw their support behind him. So really, that is the latest development from the case. Fresh suspects have been invited by the police to the police station to assist with investigation. And of course, they've invited my colleague Lateef Idrisu to help identify those suspects.
But do we know the names of these fresh suspects?
Well, we do not know. Lateef himself doesn't know who they are until he gets there. So we will be waiting. Of course, it is a developing story. So when we get there, or when Lateef gets there, he will be able to identify those people for us.
Thank you, Kenneth. Still on this matter, we're joined by the Executive Director at the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, for more on this. I mean, you have been campaigning for protection for journalists to be able to do their work. Does this surprise you that we still record assaults on journalists?
Well, it's not surprising, particularly given the rhetoric and sometimes the actions from certain political figures. And of course, also given the situation in the past where impunity for crimes against journalists almost became the order of the day, I assume that people feel that it's still okay. And in fact, if you assault a journalist, nothing would happen, because we've had cases in the past where nothing happened. And so for me, it's not surprising that these things will happen.
Okay. Now, generally, how would you assess the current state of media freedom in Ghana? Are we making progress at all?
Well, to the extent that we are seeing the police pick up someone for the assault on Lateef Idris, I think that is a positive development. And as your reporter indicated, a few more people have been picked up for possible identification as suspects in relation to the assault. And I think that is also quite a positive development. Indeed, in the past, Ghana had always been one of the brighter spots when it comes to press freedom. It's unfortunate that over the last 6 or 7 years, we went down the slope. And I can only believe that with a new government in place, attempting to reset things, we expect that the resetting agenda would also affect the media landscape in terms of freedom for journalists to practice and in terms of the general freedom of expression ecosystem in our country.
I mean, you talk about resetting the system. Currently, does Ghana's legal framework adequately really protect journalists and media houses in general, or you've identified some loopholes that you think that during this resetting they can include?
Well, I think that generally our legal frameworks are okay. The Constitution, which is the parent law, extensively provides for media freedoms. And I think it is one of the unique things that we have as a country in terms of the elaborate provisions in the Constitution when it comes to media freedoms. Apart from that, I think, yeah, there are sections in the criminal code that people have talked about in terms of the offense of publication of false news, the offense of publishing news that can cause fear and panic. It is something that we have been talking about as requiring repeal. But I should also say that the absence of a broadcasting law sometimes also make a number of media houses go wayward. So we cannot just be talking about freedoms and freedoms and freedoms without responsibility. Over the course of time, I think that legitimately there have been concerns about the conduct of some media organizations and some journalists. And as I've always said, unprofessional conduct, irresponsible conduct sometimes constitute the most, serious threat to press freedom.
Right. You have just talked about unprofessional conduct and all, but let's look at the political climate as well. How much of the pressure on media freedom in Ghana is influenced by the current political environment?
Well, I think that we came from an ecosystem that was quite repressive from the military regime. And as a result, a lot of advocacy was done. And that is why I believe that the framers of our Constitution dedicated a whole chapter to essentially media freedom and provided for a lot of provisions that really insulate the media from attacks, insulate the media from governmental control and all of that. But over time, we have as a country failed to respond to emerging developments. The media landscape has completely changed from a period when we had just about 1 or 2 or 3 media houses to hundreds of media houses. At a time when we never had digital platforms, now we have digital platforms. The attitudes that we approach, these media outlets with, and the entire ecosystem has changed. But I think as a country, we've over time not been able to respond appropriately to the changing times. And I think those are the areas that we have to continue to reflect on.
Finally, for me, let's look at the regulating bodies. Are bodies like the National Media Commission and the Ghana Journalists Association doing enough to really defend press freedom?
I think the GJA, particularly the current leadership, has shown a lot of commitment and a lot of passion for the fight for press freedom. And let's not forget that this is just an association. It doesn't have the powers to enforce any legislation. It doesn't have the powers to prosecute, for criminal offenses. But I think the biggest failure has been the National Media Commission. And the last time we had the opportunity to meet with the Constitution Review Committee, some of us made that clear, that in order to ensure that journalists are responsible, are professional, and the freedoms that are provided for in our Constitution to be respected, we need a much more effective, a much more vibrant, and a much more focused and dedicated National Media Commission. And it will require some changes happening in terms of the composition and in terms of the law that sets up the NMC by way of the NMC Act, to ensure that we truly and honestly have a media regulator that is indeed a regulator, not just on paper, but also in action.
Thank you so much for talking to us today on Joy News Today, Mr. Brahima Suleiman. Now, you're watching Joy News Today. Away from that, let's bring you some more stories. It's been 2 long years since the raging waters from the Ekosombo and Pond dams swallowed homes and scattered lives across Dovetown in the Volta region. Today, the endure scorching tents and finished houses and promises that seem to wash away just like the floods. In Joy News' series, After the Floods, Fred Kwame Asare returns to the heart of the devastation where hope still fights to stay afloat.
Floodwaters swallowed homes. Many in Mepe are still waiting for a place to call home again. For Theodora and her family, the wait had been long and unbearable. Her family is one of over 100 households living in temporary UNICEF tents at 3 resettlement camps in the North Town district. Their mud house was swept away, leaving them with only what they could salvage.
Face that kind of problem.
At Camp 1, a 10-unit structure built by the government sits empty. The flood victims say it was hurriedly constructed and unlivable.
What 2 weeks? Hey, come to about 2 Holagama. 2 weeks, 3. You'll be ever packing me. I be household. One may we are told, Yano Hogre Kame. Yeah, I mean like Balena, all be. Look at Allo Bumio. Want to know that Mamma or go prove your plinos Ronano Homer. Well, I tell you. I'm a flamina. Nuka komi jela woju. E kale va famina na ke pomo. Si fia wa ga paki mi abi sadine ne atro ho de kame.
The government's resettlement project remains incomplete, but concerns are growing over the cost and quality of the new housing units.
They are putting up 20 rooms, which is 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, no toilet, no bath, small 6x6 posh. Do you want them to stay or to sleep? And they are laying it without mortar joint. When you push it with your hand, the whole thing will collapse. And this building alone, when I tell you the cost of it is reaching 1 million Ghana cedis, it's about 800,000 Ghana cedis for these 2 bedrooms alone. Why is the government wasting money in somebody's pocket? Please compensate the victims so that they go to their homes and leave the camps for you.
For these victims, it is not just about shelter, it is about dignity, security, and a chance to rebuild their lives. They are not asking for much, just a home that is safe, decent, and truly theirs.
No chonka na mi ato mi api. Gi na chi echo mi le. Mi nya be chi topo o. Ni la plani ba la poji ato api. Ni la plani ba la poji ato api. Ko va pa ki mi dade. Ko hele nu du la mi enti. Ni e de ka pomo.
Over 1 year after the floods, they are still waiting, but for how much longer? From Mefe in the North-Down district of the Volta region, my name is Fred Kwame Asari for Joy News.
And every time the skies darken over Ofanko, a sense of dread washes over the students of St. Peter's Anglican School, not because of the thunder, but because they know what follows: water, loads of it, enough to turn their school compound into a pond and their classrooms into islands. Jacqueline and Sumayabwa has more.
It's just past 3 p.m. Wednesday in Ofanko, St. Peter's Anglican School, and it's quiet. According to some students we met, school had already closed. A few lingered, loitering around the compound. Others could be seen walking slowly home. Earlier that day, it had rained, and like clockwork, the school flooded again. In the center of the school's compound, a large stagnant pool of water sat quietly, stretching across what is supposed to be the playground. The ground beneath was soft and soggy with patches of mud swallowing bits of the once visible pavement. The signs of disruption were all too visible.
So currently I'm at St. Peter's Ofanko School, and what you can see behind me is a pool of water right in the middle of the school. These students, they are unable to even play during school hours. This is right in the middle of the school.
Though the rain had stopped hours ago, the aftershock remained. The school's main pathways were still drenched, making access to some classrooms difficult. In a few spots, water had begun seeping into the base of the classroom blocks. This is not a one-off occurrence. According to residents and some off-camera conversations with students, the school floods almost every time it rains. The playground has become a permanent pond. For years, this has gone on quietly with no intervention, no fix, no official word. But when we tried to film and capture what we saw, we were met with hostility. The assemblywoman for the area confronted us and demanded we stop filming. She insisted we had no right to document what was happening, even though this is a public school and a public issue. Still, what we saw speaks for itself. A basic school where learning must pause anytime it rains. A compound that transforms into a hazard zone. And children, already burdened with the challenges of a stretched public education system, left to navigate Yet another crisis alone. It's a story many haven't heard. But for students of St. Peter's Anglican, it is one they live through rain after rain. As another rainy season looms, so that's the question. How long must these children wade through water just to learn? For Joy News, I'm Jacqueline Ansuma Yaboa.
Away from the Accra floods, medical authorities at the St. Michael Hospital in the Ashanti region are seeking more clinical monitors to enhance care for critically ill patients and emergency cases. Presently, the hospital relies on 8 clinical monitors at the emergency and recovery wards that are assigned to patients based on the severity of their cases. Medical Director Dr. Samuel Yao-Edu has indicated, aside from monitors, that the facility is in need of other essential equipment to improve service delivery. Nana Yaojima has more in this report.
The St. Michael's Hospital was upgraded to a hospital status in 1960 to cater for healthcare needs of people in Bosomtwe district and its environs. Over the years, the hospital has upgraded its facilities to offer some specialty care. Nonetheless, the 144-bed capacity hospital continues to grapple with equipment challenges which have negatively affected healthcare delivery. At the facility's emergency ward, medical monitors that display and tracks patients' vital signs and other parameters are inadequate, with the recovery ward encountering similar challenges. Dr. Samuel Yao-Edu indicated the hospital is in short supply of medical equipment for patient care.
The equipment, suction machines, patient monitors, delivery bed, in fact, is one of the things on our list as we speak. We're trying to procure them. The monitors, almost everybody, those on the ward, especially critical cases, emergency, recovery ward, neonatal ward, we all need monitors to help us manage them very well. We have some, but inadequate. As we speak, if you go to the emergency, I think we have 2. If you go to the recovery ward, we have about 6. We have, but not adequate.
The Catholic facility was established to provide social service to the people. Hence, some of the vulnerable people who are treated at the facility are unable to foot their bills. In some instances, the hospital relies on its poor and sick fund to support such cases. Dr. Edu indicates the situation has negatively affected retooling efforts.
They come here without anything. Sometimes they can incur a debt. They don't even have insurance. They can incur debt to the tune of about 10,000, 14,000, 5,000, and they cannot even pay 1 cedi. And you can't keep them here.
Meanwhile, the Rotary Club of Kumasi has stepped in to provide some of the needed equipment for patient care. The group donated a delivery bed, patient monitors, and a suction machine to aid medical care. Nana Efia Osei Asamoah is president.
They had challenges with their maternal and child unit, so we came to support them with some medical equipment for their unit. We donated 1 delivery bed, patient monitors to support so we were in to assist them so that it will ease the pressure and the challenges that's being faced by the hospital.
For Joy News, Nana Yaojima, Ashanti Region.
You're watching Joy News today, and it's time now for business, and Winston is here. Winston, what's in business today?
So for the second time, the government has failed to meet its bill target for the first week of this month, and surely bringing that development in our subsequent bulletin.
Is that good news or bad news?
For government, they need to meet some statutory payment, and I'm sure with time, they'll catch up.
Right. Please stay.
Welcome back to Business here on News Desk. My name is Winston Take. Now to our first business story. The government failed to meet its treasury bill auction target for the second week running, and that's according to the auction result by the Bank of Ghana. However, the yield on the 91-day bill was unchanged. There is more in this rolling report.
Treasury got 5.471 billion Ghana cedis of the total bids tendered, but rejected 1.095 billion Ghana cedis of the bids from the investors. Once again, a chunk of the bids came from the 91-day bill, where 3.507 billion Ghana cedis, representing 64.07% of the total bids, were tendered. For the 182-day bill, 1.806 billion Ghana cedis was received. However, the uptake was 1.674 billion Ghana cedis. The bids tendered for the 364-day bill were estimated at 157.18 million Ghana cedis. Only 48.44 million Ghana cedis were accepted. Meanwhile, interest rate fell with respect to the 182-day and the 364-day bills as the government intensified its strategy of keeping rates lower. However, that of the 91-day bill remained unchanged at 14.79%. The yield on the 182-day bill went down by 3 basis points to 15.45%. The 364-day bill also dropped by 12 basis points to 15.71%.
Now, away from that, famous business magnate Sir Sam Jonah has delivered a proposal for Ghana to reprioritize science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM education, asserting that no nation achieves prosperity in the modern world without it at its core. Speaking on Saturday at the Academic City University's commencement ceremony, the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast implored Ghana to emulate global powerhouse that have placed STEM at the heart of their national development policies.
Addressing graduates from a university with a bold and unapologetic focus on STEM and entrepreneurship, Sir Sam Jonah, the executive chairman of Jonah Capital, an equity fund based in Johannesburg, South Africa, emphasized that the future is not imagined by engineered.
Ladies and gentlemen, our graduates are graduating today from a university with a bold and unapologetic focus on STEM and entrepreneurship, and rightly so. I came here, I had the privilege of visiting last Tuesday, and I was blown over completely. Because let's face it, no country has built prosperity in the modern world without science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at its core. Nations that have made it, have made transformative leaps, have done so by placing STEM at the center of national policy, not at the peripheral. I'll give you examples. China, now the world's second largest economy, produces 4 million STEM graduates every year. But beyond the numbers, it's a deliberate philosophy.
President of the Academic City University College, Professor Fred Magbanguluri, stressed the need to invest in STEM education.
Engineering is beginning to take steam. You know, when I look back to when I was a student in high school, the focus was good students went to medical school or law school. And those were the two professions that had currency in this country for several years. But as it's obvious, even from research, the nations that have invested in engineering are the ones that are developing. I mean, without engineering, natural resources cannot be tapped, or natural resources will be tapped and turned into raw materials for other people. So I think, you know, beyond CD appreciating some of the fundamentals is to look at innovation and entrepreneurship, and that is really what engineering education is going to do for us.
That's all for business here on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki. Up next is sports.
We bring you sports now on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah, President of the Ghana Boxing Authority. Abraham Korte-Nikwe has revealed that plans are underway to transport the remains of Nigerian boxer Oluwaseun to the Republic of Nigeria. Oluwaseun died during a boxing bout at the Bukom Boxing Arena early this year, and the Ghana Boxing Authority has been going through the processes to be able to transport his remains to Nigeria.
The ministry setting up a committee, we are not aware. Get it straight. The chairman of the committee called that we should hold on. We shouldn't get closer to the body.
Okay.
We were not happy. But hey, he's the boss. So he have done it. So we stay away. And that is what I'm saying, that at that point, I am saying that the ministry should have had two legs. One looking at how we prepare the body and send it to Nigeria. Then the other one would be like going through the whatever findings they want to find. But after the 2 to 3 months that they spent on their findings, later on we were called back to go and follow up how we can see to move the body to Nigeria. And I speak to you, it wasn't an easy thing. By the Ghana Boxing Authority, we've been able to get all the documents that we should get for the body to move to Nigeria. With me here, I have the certificate for death register. I have the AMA document also here. I have the non-infection certificate, is also with me. I have the Ministry of Interior. So I can tell you that we are finished with all the documents. On Tuesday, the Friday, I went to I think the Thursday, I went to the Nigerian embassy to pick the Afana letter. And then on Tuesday, I'll get that one. Then we'll go to the airlines to pay what we have to pay there. Then probably I will communicate to the Nigeria authority, that is the boxing authority, and know the exact day, because they are also saying that when we finish with all this process, we should inform them. Then they can also prepare and inform the family. So probably next week, by the grace of God, the body will move from here to Lagos,
Nigeria.
You are speaking with my colleague Nathaniel Arthur on Joy Sports Link on Saturday. That means that this week the body will be taken to Nigeria. That is your sports. Now we've got more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Showbiz.
Good afternoon, you welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline Ansama Yabua. To our first story, ICGC Calvary Temple shook with power and praise at the 8th edition of the Rabbinic Worship. This year's event themed Overflow was nothing short of a divine encounter as Gospel Grace lit up the stage with soul-stirring ministration and praise. My colleague Karen Obeng has more from the event.
From humble beginnings to a now nationally anticipated worship gathering, Edenic worship has grown into a spiritual powerhouse on Ghana's gospel calendar. Spearheaded by Joyous Kwame, the annual event has consistently attracted hundreds hungry for a deeper connection through worship. And the 8th edition, it delivered, and then some. The ICGC Calvary Temple was transformed into a sanctuary of overflowing praise as the likes of Akese Brimpong, Kofi Pepra, Emoji Music, and the ever-energetic Kainos Choir led the charge. The administrations brought the crowd to its feet with hands raised high and hearts wide open.
It is truly an experience. I've enjoyed myself
I have prayed, and I felt the presence of the Holy Spirit. This is greater than it has ever been for the past 7 editions that I've attended. And I'm hoping that you get to join us next year when we do our 9th edition by God's grace.
I say every time it's worship time, and it's getting better and better by time, you know. As we lift up our voice, the heavens are opening over us. And I'm enjoying myself. I've been blessed, most importantly, at the Edenic worship. You have to be here, even if you're not here yet. But if you couldn't make it this year, next year, you have to make it. God bless you. Keep it locked on Joy TV. Thank you.
This year's edition added another milestone to the Edenic worship legacy, which in previous years has seen unforgettable performances from gospel heavyweights like Joe Mettle, Celestine Donko, Dinah Hamilton, and Pastor Isaiah Fusukwache. When Joyous Kwame, the man behind the movement, took the stage, he was met with thunderous applause, proof of the impact Edenic worship has made over the years. With a heart full of gratitude, he declared the event a huge success.
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. We trusted the Lord for his presence. We trusted the Lord for healings. And that is what the Lord has done today.
Well, away from Edenic worship, last Sunday's episode of Joy Prime's Kids Cooking Show dubbed Fortune Cookie and Smoothie Challenge saw the remaining 10 contestants enter the kitchen with their A-game ready for the task. Well, they all impressed the judges with their ability to bake tasty cookies with smoothie as accompaniment, but 3 found themselves in the bottom, whilst Nicole swept the star of the Chef of the Day title. Lois Adeyemi has more in the following report.
Brother, as we start this competition, you will be with us. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen! Good news by kids! Good news by kids!
After the prayers were said, the kiddie chefs were fully pumped and prepared for the Fortune Cookies and Smoothie Challenge. For the first time, the judges tested their baking skills by tasking them to make cookies from scratch using the Fortune margarine, accompanying it with any smoothie of their choice. With 5 minutes to shop for ingredients from the open market and 40 minutes to bake, they hurriedly got to work.
They have 5 minutes to pick up what they need at the pantry, and then 40 minutes to bake and prepare your smoothie, and then present your food as well.
Please, I wouldn't want anybody running here up and down. Everything you need is around you. Are we clear? Let's go and pick up our things fast.
As usual, they were all reminded to work smart and within the allotted time to escape possible eviction. While the cooking was ongoing, the host Michelle Ajekum made a reveal, pushing the competitive side of all the kiddie chefs to put more efforts into their masterpiece.
Today, whoever wins the Star Chef gets saved from eviction. And so, kiddie chefs, make sure that you're doing your very best to earn that title.
The moment of truth finally arrived. All chefs were halted and asked to present their meals for presentation. Things took a turn this week as the judges were impressed with all the cookies and smoothies the contestants presented. After much deliberation, the judges awarded Nicole as the star chef of the day for impressing them the most with her chocolate chip cookie and tropical temptation smoothie.
I love to get this when I go to the seashore. Good job. And your cookies too. What did you get the idea by overlapping it? Give me that presentation.
The presentation.
Wow, you win for today, man. You win for today, man.
Star Chef for today goes to Nicole. Chef Nicole, congratulations.
All right, congratulations, Nicole.
Although Rena, Jaden, and Hilda emerged bottom 3, the judges saved them from eviction as they also aced the Fortune Cookie and Smoothie Challenge.
Today, they all did well, and so we have to save all of them today. Yeah.
All right, guys, you're all safe. No one is going home. Thank you for coming, but next week you have to work harder.
Big Chef, good meals by kids.
On that note, is a wrap for the showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Sama Yabwa. Over to you, MFA Kosiadeti.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And you don't want to miss Big Chef at 4 p.m. on Sundays on Joy Prime channel. At your age, you don't know how to cook. It's not nice. Catch the episode and learn something with Michelle Ejekum. And that'll be all for the news bulletin. I am MFA Kosiadeti. Do log on to myjoyonline.com for more news and our top story this hour. One Ghana city fuel levy undermines the city gains Ghanaians should enjoy. And this is from Abena Osei Asari, former Deputy Finance Minister. Thank you for watching.